Hey, Alex Blogger Grudges here. In this video I'm going to show you how I painted Night Goblin champions for my Stabbers units. I'll cover painting a model with the red hood in this video, and then at the end I'll show you how I painted the trim pattern on the other model. Both of these models are from the Grinkrak's Looncourt Underworld set, but the recipes shown in this video can be applied to any Gloomspite Gitz models. All the colours I'll be using are on the screen right now, but feel free to swap them out for whatever alternative range that you prefer. As you can see, I've base coated the entire model with Wraithbone to provide a nice bright base for the contrast paints I'll be using. To start off with, I'll apply Imperial Fists Yellow to the robes on the lower half of the model. Don't worry about being neat here, you can cover up any mistakes with other colours later on. Next, using Gold Fur, I'm going to colour in the belt and any leather or wooden parts of the model. There aren't many of these areas on this particular model, but I'll pick out the handle of the sword and the shield strap in this colour. With the brown complete, I'm going to apply Ball Red to the hood on the model. Try to avoid getting this on any of the yellow areas, but don't worry if you get it on the helmet, as you can cover it with metallics in the next step. This red contrasts really strongly with the yellow and helps picking these models out at a distance on the tabletop. Once the red is dried, using Lead Belcher I'm going to fill in all of the metallic areas. These goblins are really well armoured, so there are a lot of these areas on this model. I'm going to cover the arms, boots, shield, sword and helmet in this colour. You could also colour the hands if you wanted to, but I'm going to paint those as skin in the next step. Now that the metallic areas are complete, I'm going to colour in the skin. Using Auric Flesh, I'll pick out the hands and face on the model. Even though this is a base colour, I find it goes on quite thin, so you'll probably want to apply a couple of coats to make sure you get nice solid coverage. That's all of the base colours complete, and I'm going to move on to applying some shades. To start off with, I have a mixture of contrast medium and Iyanden yellow in about a 4:1 ratio. I'll apply this to the yellow robes to add some depth. The medium will give you plenty of time to move the paint around to prevent it from pooling too heavily. Once the yellow shade has dried, I'm going to apply Agrak's Earthshade over all of the metallic and brown areas on the model. I'm not going to thin this because it leaves a nice grimy stain on the metallic areas, which is really on brand for Night Goblins. You could cover the red areas with this colour if you wanted, but it will darken them significantly. Instead, I'm going to use Reikland Flesh Shade to shade the red areas. This will stain much less heavily while still leaving nice shadows in the recesses. This shade is quite transparent, so don't worry too much about getting it on any other areas. You should be able to wick it away quite easily with a wet brush if you make a mistake. To shade the areas of skin, I'm going to use a wash of Bale Tan Green. This colour won't stain very much, but it will darken the recesses nicely. Try to work it into the gaps between the fingers and into the sculpted details on the face. Now that all the washes are complete, I'm going to spend a little while applying some highlights. Starting off with picking out the raised areas of the yellow robes with Flash Gitz Yellow. For commander models like this one, it's worth spending more time highlighting them if possible to help them stand out from your rank and file models. To brighten up the red hood, I'm going to use some Evil Sun's Scarlet. I've diluted this a bit with water because it's significantly brighter than Ball Red, but feel free to decide for yourself exactly how bright you want your highlights to be. I like the effect of the Agrak's Earthshade on the metallics, but I want to knock it back a little bit, so I'm going to use Lead Belcher just to lighten up some of those areas. If you notice anywhere where the wash has pooled and dried, then go over it with this colour to cover those up. Finally, to highlight the skin areas, I'm going to apply a layer of Auric Flesh. In particular, try to pick out the knuckles, nose and ears, as these areas will draw a lot of attention. I'm going to stop here, but if you have time, then the skin is an excellent area for a second highlight with an even lighter colour. On my other champion model, I've painted the hood yellow because I'm going to paint a pattern around the edges. I'll use Ball Red to do this, which will help it to stand out. I'm going to start off with painting some roughly evenly spaced lines around the edges of the hood. I'll then connect these together, forming triangular shapes, which I'll fill in with the red. Sorry, my head's getting in the way a bit here, but this is quite fiddly. I noticed that one side of the hood extends quite a bit down the model, so I decided to fill in the entirety of this with the pattern as well, using the same method of painting lines and then connecting them into triangles. If you make any mistakes, then you can go back with Flash Gitz Yellow and tidy up the red until you get nice sharp lines. At this point, both of these models are complete. I'm going to apply the base off camera and then we can take a closer look. And there are some finished Night Goblin champions. The red is a great accent colour and will help these models to stand out amongst the rest when they're assembled together on the tabletop. All of the techniques I've shown in this video will work just fine on any Night Goblin sculpts, and particularly these patterns work great on any with large hoods or flat areas. In the future I'm going to make a separate video specifically dedicated to patterns like this because there are a lot of possibilities to explore. All that's left to do is get them on the tabletop with 99 of their closest friends and get stabbing. That's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm still experimenting with this whole painting in front of a camera thing, so there are still some issues to work out. If you're interested in sticking around, then please leave a like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.